Good day, everyone. My name is Reza. I'm joining this event from the land of Wurundjeri people, which is also known as Melbourne, Australia. Great to be here. I'm here with my colleagues, Nicole Lee and Peter Musafredis. We're going to present our research titled Diversity and Inclusion Career Path Analysis. A little bit about our company. Our parent company, Cultural Infusion, was founded over 2 decades ago, has a long history of working around culture, innovation, education, art, music, and event managers across Australia and all around the world. Diversity Atlas, as one of the products of the main company, started about 8 years ago. And what we do, we having a data-driven approach to the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Over the years, we've established some great relationship with our research partners, including Australian National Commission for UNESCO, Australian National University, and more, and a lot of Australian and international firms such as Amazon, United Nations World Food Programme, Diversity Council of Australia, BDP, ADP, Tech Diversity, Salzburg Global Seminars, and probably another 250 organizations are using Diversity Atlas at the moment. So to start with, usually say that the 100% of the employees are people, the 100% of our customers are always people, and 100% of our investors are people. If we don't understand the people in a room together, we don't understand the business. What I try to say is that the area of diversity and inclusion, which is still fairly a new area, was analytically neglected for decades and decades and decades. There are research out there stating, for example, the diverse teams are 6 times more innovative, or the diverse companies have 35% more likely to perform better in terms of return on investments, etc., etc. Most of these numbers are having a view toward a very limited lens of gender. But what I want to say that even if with a limited lens of gender diversity, we have all these great numbers, what does it actually, this diversity, mean for my own organizations? How I can implement that in my own organizations, and what outcome could I expect from my own organizations? So we have started developing a research methodology and a structure around diversity, how to define diversity. We disaggregated the culture into different elements, and we started developing a method to measure diversity of different types and how we can show that in real-time results. The whole platform has been implemented in a tool called Diversity Atlas, which is available online on www.diversityatlas.io, which organizations can come, put the data here, we collect the data, we analyze the data, and we visualize the data, including the intersectionality, gap analysis, level of representations, and we can put benchmarks here. But the main area that we're going to focus with my colleague Nicole here is that the whole area of diversity and inclusion is fairly a new area. And about 5 years ago, this field didn't exist. I remember that 5 years ago, when I looked up on LinkedIn, there was less than 5,000 people with the job title of diversity and inclusion in the whole world on LinkedIn. When I looked at a few days ago, it was above 250,000. So that's one of the fastest growing areas. Who are these people who work in the area of DEI themselves? This project is about them. This research is about them. What we did, we gathered information on who these people are, where they're coming from, how long they stay here, breakdown of gender, geographical locations, position levels, the years of service, tenure, and what they do when they leave this organization and why they leave these organizations. And in the rest of presentation, my colleague Nicole is going to present our research methodology and findings on this space. Thank you.
Thanks, Reza. So our methodology involves analyzing a comprehensive dataset of 1,000 linking profiles from the DNI practitioners based in Australia, and we categorize them into two types, the dedicated ones and the part-time ones. Dedicated practitioners are those with job titles related to DNI, such as diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging, and the part-time practitioners are those with their job titles not directly related to DNI, but they still have some sort of involvement in DNI as they state in the job description. So by including both types, we aim to gain a comprehensive understanding of the DNI landscape in Australia. But in this presentation, I will focus on the findings we have on the dedicated practitioners. And the table below shows the data I've got from LinkedIn, including the general demographic data, as well as the working experience. So let's dive into some career insights. We found that on average, these practitioners spend about 25 months, which is 2 years for every DNI job. And in terms of the career span, over half of them have spent less than 3 years in the industry. And overall, throughout their career, they take up about 2 DNI jobs and accumulated about 4 years in the industry in total. And based on our follow-up survey results, there are various reasons for them leaving the industry. Like nearly half of them experienced burnout and they lack the necessary tools to work, while around one third of them were looking for a more financially secured job. And they also thought there was a lack of career growth in DNI. Alongside the DNI job entries, we also examined the non-DNI positions that the practitioners held before transitioning to DNI and the jobs they pursued after leaving the DNI role. Like this table shows the top 5 job titles representing this career change. Like the table on the left shows there is a significant practitioners coming from the human resources, and equally, table on the right shows these practitioners transition back to the human resources after leaving the DNI field. So this movement kind of highlights the overlapping between HR and DNI functions, where DNI could have been considered as part of the HR practice on managing people and organizational culture. In terms of state distribution, most DNI practitioners are based in Victoria and New South Wales, while the shortage of practitioners in South Australia, Tasmania, and the Northern Territories could be associated with state population. And even though Victoria appears to be the biggest job market with the greatest number of DNI job entries, the practitioners from Victoria usually stay in one job shorter than average, while the South Australia and Tasmania has less DNI practitioners, but the practitioners stay relatively longer. In this dataset, more than 80% of the practitioners are females, which have dominated across different position levels, including manager, individual contributor, director, and the entry levels. And the largest gender gap appears at the managerial levels. Very interestingly, both female and male spend mostly less than 3 years in the industry throughout their career. And for every job, female work 3 months longer than male on average. Not much difference. And also on the table here, you can see the majority of the jobs are at the individual contributor level, including roles such as advisor, business partners, consultant, officers, and specialists. And there are extremely few entry level positions. And when we look at the job titles, we found almost 40% of them are unique, which indicates we don't have standardized title in this field. And among all the job titles, the word diversity and inclusion appear most often as a standalone title, as well as combining with other terms. And interestingly, equity does not hold the same level of importance compared to diversity and inclusion. And lastly, by industry, the data involves more than 800 organizations across 43 industries, in which public administrators provide most of the D&I jobs, followed by the education sector and the financial service sector. This illustrates the widespread demand for D&I practitioners across different industries. So that's all from me, and thank you so much for listening. And here's our contacts. Feel free to contact us if you have any issues or questions. We are more than happy to chat. And you can also jump to diversityatlas.io to know more about Diversity Atlas if you want. Thank you.